that while there was a resolution in the last meeting we had, and that resolution is of course persuasive, but agreed to by the Secretary of Justice, and therefore he should be compelled to implement that resolution. But apparently, between that time and now, there has been a reconsideration of that resolution. Perhaps after taking cognizance of so many other complications, possible complexities, not to mention that we have to really define what is a kubol, because the layman's definition of a kubol is single detached as against mass housing that we saw inside the facility. So I think we have to fine-tune that. So in that case, Mr. Chairman, the personalities are here are not the ones who are supposed to be answerable to us. It is the Secretary of Justice, because he was the one who agreed to implement our resolution, and therefore we can, in the next meeting, we can summon her and ask her to explain to us why she decided, apparently she decided not to implement this resolution. Maybe she has a good reason. Maybe there are other things that have come up that would not make it really wise to fully implement the resolution. And having said that, Mr. Chairman, I propose that we take up the primary matter at hand, which is the Correctional Institution for Women, that we are here. The other things that we discussed previously, we can discuss in a hearing there in the House of Representatives. But with respect to the CIW, while our memories are still fresh with respect to what we saw and the availability of resource persons within the CIW who cannot be invited to go all the way to the Batata, I propose that we now go to the main subject matter at Secretary.
Okay, so there's a suggestion, a motion to be seconded. We will leave the walls issue, but yeah, it is very apparent that some members of the committee are not happy with the way it is being, at least the things that we agreed on, the way it's being implemented, we're not happy. And in the next hearing, the committee will invite the Secretary of Justice to explain. Just before we go to other issue, yes, we'll give the floor to our power chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anyway, inmates from the Basibo are not around. Maybe because that's the reason why the Chief Public Attorney was invited by your office. For about 11 years, I've been visiting this facility from time to time, at least once a month, to be honest. Personally, I talked to the Secretary of Justice to withhold and to not to implement the directive given before us in open hearing that all halls be dismantled, because I know there are more than 3,000 halls being occupied by inmates. And if we will multiply that by 6,000, at least 6,000 inmates are benefiting from that. And I know for a fact that not all those occupying the halls are rich inmates. Most of them are the poor inmates na hindi po ma-accommodate ng ating existing buildings. At noong 2001 pa, may pangkalan ang pamahalaan na ilipat yan sa Talay. Kaya po ang ating pamahalaan ay hindi nag-aalala ng budget para sa paggawa ng additional buildings. At kaya po yan ay hinayaan ng ating pamahalaan na wala pong labag sa batas. Kumbaga, na magtayo yung mga inmates kung kaya na kani-kanyang tayo po ng kani-kanyang kubo, kani-kanyang shelter doon sa malawak na lupain na yan. Ganyan din po sa ating mga kolonya, kung kaya naman tayo ng kubo, hindi po pinapawalan ng ating mga viewer, Pasensya na po, gusto ko lang pong ilabas, sana bigyan niyo ako ng chance. Yan pong, ang issue lang po dyan ay, illegal ba ang kubol? Para sa akin po, hindi illegal yan. Kung hindi kaya ng gobyerno, nabigyan ng tuluyan ng ating mga preso. Kasi kung tinanggal po lahat yan, araw na yun, within 24 hours from the directive of prisoners. At binigyan ko din po ng kopya ng si Kong Neri. Marami pong karapatan doon na based on international law, wala pong local law. Pero alam po natin, lalo po yung mga abogado po kagaya ni Mr. Chairman, na ang international law po ay applicable sa batas ng ating lipunan. Ang isa po dyan ay retention of prisoners' property. Kapag pag-aari po ng inmate, yung component din po pag-aari ng gobyerno, dalalas tayo po mga inmates, property po nila. Nasusulat po sa paragraph 43, all money, valuables, clothing, and other effects belonging to a prisoner, which under the regulation of the institution is not allowed to retain. Hindi na pwedeng dalhin yan, pauwi. Shall all his admission to the institution be placed in safe custody. An inventory thereof shall be signed by the prisoners. Steps shall be taken to keep them in good condition. Ngayon, kung giniba po yan ng araw na yon, kahit po chief public attorney ako at ang aming opisina ay attached to the DOJ, pupunta po ako na Supreme Court ng araw na yon para humingi ng TRO. Sapagkat may karapatan po ang mga preso na i-retain yung pugol na yan dahil out po yan sa mga donasyon ng mga taong nakikisimpatiya sila. Alam niyo po ba maraming political prisoners na naririyan din sa Bucor? Lang kami hindi napapalaya kahit covered sila ng Oslo-Norway Peace Process Agreement. Nakumpisa po kami ng 2004 ni Ms. Marinang Karapatan. Pero natigil po yun, ipinatigil po ng nakaraang administrasyon. Sana po daan-daan ng political prisoners na kinulong ng nakaraang administrasyon ang nakalaya. Pero ngayon nandun sila. Kung giniba po yung mga kupol na yan, mismo yung mga political prisoners matutulog sa kalye. Alam po natin ang implikasyon. Magagalit ang mga taga-mundo. So ano ko lang po sana, nagtanong po kayo, noon po sa hearing, sana lang po, tinanong nyo, Mr. Chairman, ano ba ang batas tungkol sa kubol? Ano ba ang karapatan ng mga preso? Hindi po ako makapagsagot dahil hindi mo po pwede magpresenta. Ngayon lang po ako nagkaroon ng pagkakataon ng pagsalita. Salamat po.
Thank you very much, Pao Chief. So we will leave that issue. Pero ang clear lang dito na what the committee is saying is that the government should provide for that. Not for the gang organizations to provide, because if you will allow them, there will really be some inequalities. Dapat patas-patas yan. At hindi namin sinasabi na i-dismantle isang araw, pero bigyan nyo na kami ng proposal doon sa phase out. At kung paano makatulong gobyerno, para magbigyan ng pondo, paggawa tayo. Kaya ng gobyerno, papagawa lang ng gold pala eh. Kaya yun. So what we need is a proposal. Apparently, napakabagal ng ang bilis-bilis natin sa media dati. Hindi ngayon, wala na ginawa yung DOJ. Para sa amin, so we need that question. Bago tayo pumunta dito sa Women's Correctional, isa na lang. Pero ito, hindi na ito, mabilis lang. May superintendent, ano lang ito, superintendent, nabasa ko yung I read the operational manual, 2002, of Bureau of Corrections. At so yung mga allowed Reyes and also Attorney Roilo, may mga allowed organizations inside that ordinance. These are organizations that are recognized by the Bureau of Corrections. Yung mga gang ba doon, isang question lang ito, ha? Yung CDC, POCSO, Commando, Bata City Jail, yung sa mga Ilonggo, Happy Go Lucky, Gentin Ilocano. Ay, sino ka? BRM?
Bicol Region Masbate.
Yun. Isang tanong lang, isang sagot lang, yes or no lang. Under the Bureau of Corrections Manual, are these organizations recognized by the Bureau of Corrections? Are they allowed or not?
We allow that, sir.
Merong guidelines eh. May guideline ko lang ng organizations ang pwede mong i-recognize eh. Ayusin po, sagot mo, Superintendent, clear tayo sa batas.
Yes, sir.
May guidelines dito. Ito na siguro kailang basahin kasi nabasa niya na ito. May guidelines dito, yung isang organization na dapat i-recognize lang ng Bureau of Corrections. Recognize ba natin ito at kasali ba ito sa one of the legal organizations? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Sige.
As far as official recognition, if you're referring to a certificate that we don't have that. We don't recognize officially. But this we call them, we're not saying it should be there.
No.
It's not prohibit though.
Record, ito lang.
Yes.
Itong question lang dito. Doon sa Kasi meron dito organizations, no? Meron dito na pwede lang i-recognize natin. At there's a guideline dito.
Inmate organization, your
Yes, organization. Inmate.
Excuse me, sir. Meron po rito, Chapter 3.
O yun.
Inmate Organization, Section 1.
Correct.
Purpose and scope. The Bureau shall allow inmates to participate in approved inmate organization.
O yun. Tumigil ka muna.
National, social, civic, and benevolent purposes.
Approve ba yan? Approve na ba natin yan? Yung mga pinag-mention kong gang groups?
Approve po yun, sir. Kasama po rito
yun.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige. So, approve pala yun, ha? In-approve nyo yun. Sino nag-approve doon? Who has the authority to approve it?
That is already best practice.
No. Practice is different from what is illegal in the manual. Yung the mere practice na tolerance, or we tolerate, is different. So anyway, sige, next issue na natin yun. Now kasi tingin ko, hindi pwede. Hindi pwede yun, that's illegal organizations. And based on the guidelines, you cannot approve it. Because based on sa guidelines, hindi yung pwede approvahan. Sila nagtayo ng makubol na yun. The first place. So we will discuss that in the next meeting. Now we go to, pag-usapan naman natin yung women's correctional naman. So bigyan natin ng...
Meron pa tanong sa si Congressman Biason about the realty, the property. Did I answer that?
Can you, no. You cannot answer that now. In the next, Mr. Chairman, this is one question about the future plans. We cannot do what we want to do now without answering that question first.
And in fact, kung question na lilipat ba ang facilities natin o hindi, there are also pending bills with the committee. And we will take that up together na lang with the Bureau of Corrections Modernization para sa ganon, the committee will be able to participate doon sa decision making.
Yes. May mga presidential proclamations sa development ng area, no? And as a matter of fact, I was already presented a plan by Director Calderon, yung development plan dyan, ano? But this still is a very nebulous idea. Wala pang approval yan. So we cannot make plans because this plan has not yet been approved. So can we move, Mr. Chairman, to the next?
Okay, we'll move now. But we'll move now to the next, which is the women's correctional. Ito ngayon, ang dito ngayon, we invited some of the inmates. Nandito ba? Nandito ba yung mga inmates natin in-invite? Yung sa mga organizations? So, please, no? Kasi ito kanina, at Superintendent Reyes, yung mga minensyuhan na organizations, NPPs, illegal organizations yun. At hindi nyo pwedeng i-approve yun. Kung i-approve nyo yun, makasulat kayo ng Committee on Justice. Pero ito, no? Itong Cleanliness, Orderliness, and Peacefulness Organization na dito sa Women's Correctional, yung organization na pwede. Diba, pag-ano na natin yan, we'll talk about that next time. Attorney Roilo, can you want to say a few words about the women's correctional?
This Correctional Institution policy is where the women who were convicted and sentenced to more than 3 years are confined. So, about this organization, half brigade was established 12 years ago, and they had this 6 months leadership training. First offense, pagka meron silang violation as to conduct, tanggap po agad sila. So they have the organization in instilling cleanliness, orderliness, and peacefulness inside. But aside from this, Your Honors, we have also this inmates organization where the officers were elected by the inmates. Para po kami merong national election sa loob. Meron kami COMELEC ballot boxes na hiram. Parang kanilang some phrase ay na-exercise din nila. It's one way of training them para paglabas nila, they know how to vote in our national or local elections.
Okay, so I'll give it to some members if you have questions. Yes, Congressman Biason.
Maybe first of all, Dr. Lila Dakuma, the medical officer? Because I am going to ask about the medical, yung facilities. I am satisfied with what I see within resources that we have. No? Kung pwede itong ganito sa dito, bakit hindi pwede
yung kulungan yun, linis yun.
sa mga lalaki? Bakit hindi pwede?
Yung mga lalaki, yung kulungan yun.
Yung ayos nila dito, malinis na orderly, bakit hindi pwede? Now I would like to ask Dr. Lila Dakuma, why don't you sit down? Take a seat. Will you give her a seat, please? First, Doctor, you are the only doctor in the facility.
Yes, sir.
Right. Assisted by how many nurses?
3 nurses only.
Attending to 1,892
Inmates.
inmates.
Okay.
Now, the question, Doctor, is there are regular needs of the female. Is this being attended here, and is the government providing for it?
We have some religious groups who give us the toiletries and some of it from the Bureau of Corrections.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Government provides for the special regular needs of our inmates.
Yes, sir. Quarterly we have supplies of laundry.
Are they sufficient? For example, I went to your laundry area. I asked, yung bang sabon, saan nagagaling yung sabon?
From the religious group and 1 bar from the...
Donation.
Yes, sir.
Kung walang donation, may problema.
Okay.
Doctor, medical supplies.
Hindi ho sapat, sir.
Hindi sapat.
Yes, sir.
Now, give me a number. Out of 10, sapat. At 1, wala. Nasaan yung numero?
4.
4. So meaning 40% of the needs of the inmates are provided by government or by donors.
Government, 4%.
40%. The rest provided for by their own, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, doctor, there's, I wanted to visit your ICU. Yung issue ng, yung mga bisita nila ang nagpo-provide para ma-sustain, especially those who are sick that will require prolonged medical attention.
Yes, sir.
Nanggagaling sa kanila yun.
Yes, sir.
Hindi makaprovide ang gobyerno.
No, sir.
Alright. Now, the last question, Mr. Chairman, is this. Last week, I wrote Secretary de Lima in relation to a case of an inmate in doon, yung mga lalaki, matawag mo Bilibid, no? Terminally ill, who had been recommended to be released because the guy is suffering from cancer, I think, terminal cancer. Ano? Eh baka mamatay na naman yun nang hindi ba lumalabas yung kanyang yung kanyang release. Now, here, the doctor is attending to 13 terminally ill.
13 patients.
13 patients. And I saw one of them. And isang langgam na lang yata hindi nakakapirma. Ano po?
Stage 4 cancer. Breast cancer.
Now, there already was a recommendation for release because of that since December. Noong December pa po. Eh, yung nga, tingin ko doon sa inmate, isang langgam na lang hindi po pirma. Ano po? Now, my question to you is this, to the department. How do our laws treat these cases? Is it a question of automatic ba yan dapat? O may further evaluation pa yan? Halimbawa, ang sabi sa akin ni Dr. kanina, ni Dr. Mahuma, yung mga may kaso pa, pending cases, hindi may release. Now, how do our laws treat these cases? Pending cases, wala nang cases, pero how long does it take to process the release? Now, is there any objection to the proposition that anybody who is terminally ill should be released? There are provision in law.
We can refer you, Mr. Chairman, to Senator Bayan of the
Can you answer this? Because it needs some legislative response to institutionalize our response to these cases. Then we need to put in a law. We need to craft a law. So, can we get the answer? Kasi, alam mo yung, remember ha, may kaso na bago na release, then wala na pala. Di ba? We don't want that to happen all the time.
Thank you, sir, for that question, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. In cases where a terminally ill inmate is facing charges under trial or whose cases of conviction is under review, we wait, sir, the case to be finally resolved by the courts. Because there is nothing to grant executive clemency if there is no final decision on the case. So we cannot do anything about the terminally ill matters, sir.
So this is not provided by law?
It provides, sir, that the President can grant to an inmate who is finally convicted.
That is correct.
Yes, sir.
So it is a private act of the President, the grant of clemency.
Actually, sir, the President cannot come in because the case is still in the judiciary, sir.
Ang public act ng Presidente is the grant of amnesty. But the grant of pardon is a private act. Private act of the President yan. So, do we need to institutionalize the response of the government to cases of inmates, whether female or male? What do we do with this? Yeah. So do we need a law? That's what I'm asking. Kasi you know, the human factor of it is that the inmate is ruled or rendered or judged to be terminally ill. Now, what would prevent us from giving him the last days on earth to enjoy it with the family? Kung talagang terminally, of course, kung mayroong miracle, baka bumalik, no?
Sir Chairman, if I may,
please.
Under the present setup, let's say that person terminally is convicted under a final judgment to serve prison sentence of reclusion perpetua, and he served only, let's say, 2 years. Dadaan po yan sa puro pardon sa parole, may proseso po yan patapos sasabihin sa Malacanang for executive clemency. Under the fact that you've given, I think we need a law.
We need a law.
We need a law for that.
We need a law. So, they will be properly guided. Now, baka problema yan, alam mo naman sa Pilipinas, maraming nangyayari, napakagamitin reason niya para meron release. Lalo na kung malakas yung i-release. Ano? Yeah, of course, there must be a medical. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we need a law, can we get a proposed bill? Thank you.
Yes, I see the hand of
Actually, there is one legal infirmity that the suggestion is very good that we will have be giving some sort of a presidential clemency to those terminally ill. But the problem really is in the Constitution itself, where in the Constitution, it specifically prohibits the grant of executive clemency without that final judgment. In other words, words, the judgment should become final and executory. And that's the only key there. That although that the act of the president is...
So it will require a judicial process. Yeah. And then, what is the judicial process involved in the grant of clemency by the president? Upon your recommendation, di ba? May court pa rin yun? Okay. Final judgment as to the question of guilt or innocence. The Constitution? Now we need to examine that. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, that's what taken. Yes, from the Karapatan. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, please state your name and your identity.
Yeah, I'm Mariela Enriquez, chairperson of the non-government organization called Karapatan. We've been working with inmates or political prisoners at the National Bilibid Prisons and several prisons all over the country, especially those for political prisoners still on trial. And we have 3 political prisoners here at the CIW. We talked to them. One of them is Alegre Moreta, who is 64 years old and suffering from arthritis. Mabuti po, sabi niya, tinutulungan siya ng mga kasamahan niya rito. From our experience with working with detainees, ang tingin po namin, sir, ay dapat talaga, sa tingin ko, walang magiging problema sa mga kubul-kubul na yan kung nadidecongest natin regularly ang ating prisons, no? Kasi ang problema ngayon, masyadong yung congestion eh. I remember working with Attorney Persida, meron silang inilagay na computerization doon sa NBP para makita kung gaano nakatagal. Kasi yung NBP po ay mga convicted prisoners. No, kung gaano nakatagal nasi-serve para lang mabilis na nakikita yung status ng mga prisoners doon. And then, kay political prisoner yan, kay hindi, basta nakapasok na sila dun sa, meron silang certain number of years na pwede na either for clemency, for pardon, for recommendation na ganon. So, mabilis noon yung pagbibigay at saka pag-review ng kaso. Hindi ko lang po alam kung naituloy yung computerization na yon because we welcome that, no? Dahil maganda yun eh, dahil nakikip track ng prison official kung sino ang pwede ng pag-aralan ng kaso at reviewin, no? So, sana ibalik. Kasi sina Attorney Persida, naglagay doon sa NBP. Ngayon, ang nakakalungkot yung dito rin doon sa mga babae kasi marami po talaga may sakit, yung matatanda na pati. At saka yun lang mga babae naman na dito, wala namang kubul-kubul tapos kanino. Sa isang kama, 2 sila, paano naman matutulog? Talagang magkakasakit sila. So, sa tingin ko po talagang ang primary natin dapat yung decongestion nung mga prison natin facilities. Sa tingin ko malaki po ang maitutulong yan. Pangalawa, gusto ko pong ilinaw, Mr. Chair, yung sinabi ni Attorney Persida kanina doon sa political prisoners sa NBP. Actually, nasunog yung nila, yung facility nila noon. Pero tinulungan sila ng party list. Kaya gobyerno pa rin yung nagbigay ng mga materials. Kaya lang dahil walang lugar, dun sila sa paligid ng Iglesia Pilipina Independiente. Umayag naman po yung church. Nasunog. Naglagay pa nga kami ng mga damit nila dahil completely nasunog yung facilities nila. So tinulungan naman po ng party list. Kaya government pa rin yun, fund.
Thank you. Thank you. We have here, yes,
Mr. Chairman, complementary to that, and this was the matter that I discussed with you on the side. At the proper time, Mr. Chairman, I would propose that we consider as an amendment, part of the modernization should be the modernization of the records keeping. Because I understand that many inmates sometimes overstay because of the oversight of the management of the Bureau of Corrections. So this oversight sometimes is unavoidable because of the lack of computerized records keeping. So I propose to the Chairman that we also include this as part of the modernization program under my House Bill number 197 and the other House Bills authored by the other members of the House. Because, you know, it would be the height of injustice, it would be the height of cruelty for an inmate to overstay against his will. Of course, we know that some inmates sometimes, on their option, decide to overstay because of their personal reasons.
Yes, Congressman Golez, that will be included in the proper time. Now we invited two inmates here, Ms. Liza Magbanwa, the organization Cleanliness, Orderliness, and Peacefulness, and Grace Villamin of the Inmates Organization. So, pwede lang namin marinig, no? May ano ba dito yung mga organization sa loob ng women's facilities, women's correctional? Meron pang iba rin dito sa mga lalaki. Yun lang, gusto namin malaman sa inyo. Ano yung mga conditions nyo na gusto marinig na ninyo ng Committee on Justice?
Actually po, the COP or Cleanliness, Orderliness, and Peacefulness was founded about 13 years ago, and ang thrust po nila is basically it's in its name. It's cleanliness, orderliness, and peacefulness within the institution. Now, the CIW Inmate Organization was formed via electoral process. Nag-vote po ang mga inmates, and there was a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer, an auditor, and our main thrust is to look into the welfare of our COVID inmates. Where there are those who are visitorless, tapos nangangailangan po sila, we would look for ways to provide those needs. Recently po, since the institution has a plan to come up with a tahanan para sa mga lola, we hosted a bingo social as to form part of the funds for that. Yun po usually yung ginagawa dito ng organization, pero there are no gangs, there are no...
Walang gangs dito, wala. Yes, yan naman si Ms. Liza Magbanwa.
Ako naman po ang presidente ng COP, which stands Cleanliness, Orderliness, and Peacefulness within the premises of the institution.
Yeah, ano gusto, meron ba kayo gusto marinig namin? May gusto niyo pa kayong sabihin na Committee on Justice tungkol sa sitwasyon niyo dito?
Isa lang po naman actually ang hinihiling ng mga kababaihan. Sa ngayon po kasi over-congested na po kami. Wala na pong mapapaglagyan. Kung napansin niyo po during your ocular inspection, ang double deck po, 4 kadalasan ang laman. And marami po rito, there are about 200 who have served an actual time of 15 years and above. Na kung sana po, mabigyan naman po sila ng pagkakataon, lalo na po yung mga may sakit.
So, yung congestion, siguro that this is also another topic. Kanina, it was proposed na po by Congressman Castello. Siguro let's touch on yung conjugal visit naman. Because under the manual, actually it's a privilege, diba? But the manual is under the visiting right. But it is a privilege. A male inmate may enjoy conjugal visits from his spouse in the prisons where there are facilities whereof under such conditions as may be prescribed by the director. Pero hindi dito nakalagay yung sa women cases there. So, yun nga sabi, bakit wala? Ang sabi sa akin ng Bureau of Corrections, dahil may possibility na mabuntis ng mga babae. Pero baka naman violation tayo ng equal protection. So gusto ko marinig, and I think the committee, I don't know, gusto sabihin ng committee members, we want also to hear sa inyo, sa mga inmates natin. Bilang leader ng inmates, anong tingin niyo doon sa proposal?
Mr. Chair, yes, dadagdag lang po ako dyan, no? Kasi we're talking here about conjugal visits. Ang nangyari po kanina, napansin ko, sa isang kama, dalawa. Ngayon, ito po ang tanong ko, ito po ba ay may mga relasyon sila within the same sex? We have to accept that wala naman pong problema yan kasi when we're talking here about one of the basic needs, sex. Okay? So ngayon, we are depriving our women prisoners of that basic need. Ngayon, nakita ko po na medyo mukhang lalaki ay kasamang parang babae. So, ito po ba sila po, it's a choice or you were the one who assigned the beds for them or sila na mismo ang pumili na kung sino ang magiging kasama nila doon sa kamar. So, yan po, in connection with the condition.
In relation to that question or observation, when we were touring the facility, we observed na yung may mga babae na may mga inmates tayo na pumasok dito may asawa. Pero dahil medyo matagal na dito, naghiwalay na yung kanilang mga asawa. So we don't know ano talaga yung mga reasons. That's why yung conjugal visit was proposed. So, sige, kanina siguro, una mo tayo kay Attorney Roilo.
Sabi, Your Honor, we do not allow that na pagpatyan yung sabi mo parang lalaki at isang babae. Hindi ko alam yan, but we do not allow na magsama sila sa isang bed. Baka po nagkemuhan lang na magkasama sila. Pero because of overcrowding, hindi lang po dalawa-tatlo. Dalawa-dalawa pati sa taas. Minsan po, meron pang ang 300.
Okay, sa mga inmates naman natin, ano ang tingin niyo doon sa magban mo? Grace Vidya Min. Ano ang tingin niyo doon sa proposal na bigyan nila conjugal visit?
In terms of conjugal visits po, sa akin po, siguro I'm not in a position to answer that. Wala po akong asawa at dalaga pa po ako.
Okay, just a clarification. When we're talking about conjugal visits, you're referring to, they must be legally married. Or pwede bang boyfriend, or pwede bang, they used to be living together before, or what is the criteria for this?
Tanungin natin yung mga former directors. Ano ba parameters doon sa conjugal visit in practice doon sa mga lalaki? General Calderon, General Jokno.
Clarification, sir.
Yes, Congressman Castelo.
When we say conjugal visits, ito po yung pagdalaw ng mag-asawa. I think the practice here is allowable, no? What is disallowed, I think, is the marital privacy of both couples. Yung asawa, pwede mo bumisita, di ba? Pero yung privacy ng dalawang mag-asawa alone in one room, you disallow that.
No, but before that question, yung tanong muna, before tayo kay Congressman Castelo, yung conjugal, dapat married sila? Or pwedeng common law, lang sila? Husband and wife. Ano ba anong practice doon sa dati? So practice nyo sa Bilibid, for example.
We adopt the common law wife.
Ano ibig sabihin ng common law? Anong tingin nyo common law? Anong definition nyo doon na general?
Kasi kung isang hiwalay na siya sa asawa niya, pero may anak siya sa ibang babae, pinapayagan namin bumisita, yung mga babae na yun sa preso namin. And then,
Leon, may anak. Kung walang anak, kasi boyfriend, girlfriend niya.
We refer them as ordinary visitor to be inmates. But then, they will be within the compound, bibisita ron sa kwarto, but there is no toleration, there is no space provided for sexual relationship.
Pero ang common law, husband and wife, pwede sa conjugal visit. Pwede. Common law.
Actually, sir,
hindi not necessarily married.
We do not call that a conjugal visit. We call that a visit to the relative. Lahat yun, either wife, girlfriend, or friend. Bumibisita lang, sir, doon. We do not...
Meron conjugal visit sa manual.
But there is no space for conjugal visit na pinoprovide namin, sir. Ang nangyayari doon, they go to their room, and then they do it in the room. Yeah. We do not tolerate it here. Dahil ito, pagka namuntis ng mga babae, mamumulong sa hospital.
So, Mr. Chair, so in other words, we don't have any special room for conjugal visit. Okay. Kasi ang next question ko sana, tatanungin ko kung may bayan. At sino nag-operate ito?
Diyan nga po na, Mr. Chairman, diyan nga po nagagamit yung mga kumpul sa conjugal visit. Isa po yung sabi sinisignal ngayon.
Yes, Congressman.
Mr. Chairman, my question is directed to Director Calderon. In your experience and based on your research on what other countries are doing in this particular issue, with respect to strict implementation of penal laws in, let's say, in the United States, do they allow relatives or a spouse to have physical contact with the inmate?
In other countries, they do not allow personal contact with the inmates. It's through video, teleconferencing, or through a mirror. But personal contact, wala. It's only one country is only in the Philippines na we allow personal contact. And most of the correction supervisors from other countries visited the Philippines. And they really approve it. And they say it lessens yung arts ng lalaki. Yeah, we make them more humane, yung mga inmates natin. So, nagtotone down yung mga whatever feeling na they have. Bumababa, nagiging normalize ang tao nila. So, in other countries, they do not tolerate, but in the Philippines, we tolerate personal contact.
Mr. Chairman, that is why now let me just manifest that although here in our country we are a rule of law, we are also of common law. Kasi dyan na